Welcome to another episode of Dad's Rules with Kevin Belzer, and today it'll just be me. Solo episode. All right, first and foremost, I want to point out this awesome shirt that I'm wearing, Air Supply. It's been a debate going around the house, and I had to bring this up to people at church as well, that I believe that Air Supply is actually driving music. My wife, on the other hand, does not. And that's probably why today is a solo episode, because you can imagine this is going to be a full blown out argument. Okay, I tease. Not really a full blown out argument. I happen to believe that Air Supply, even though it is yacht rock, soft rock, whatever you want to call it, it is because you can scream along because you know all the lyrics. It's driving music. It's not Enya, and it's not, what was that one band that we talked about here? Enigma. That was the other one that we talked about that is definitely not driving music. Enya is definitely not driving music anyway. There's not enough of Orinoco flow, something like that. I don't know. Anyway, because the cool thing about Air Supply is if you get a greatest hits album of theirs, you know literally every song. And so recently I just got a live concert that they did a few years ago over in Japan. And that CD is literally, it's all hits. It's 16 songs, all hits. And that's not their whole catalog of hits. Driving music. Yes. These are fighting words. I'm willing to fight people on this. Truly believe that it's definitely driving music. Okay, so today I wanted to talk about, since this will be a quick little podcast, I want to talk about some things that happened today in the real estate world for me. I did 2 appointments today. Well, first, before I get into that, this year for me, I don't know how it is for other salespeople out there in whatever sales world you're in, real estate, whatever. Unlike last year, because I checked my books for last year, unlike last year, this year has not slowed down. It's like it's actually getting busier the later we get in the year. So it feels like, and it looks like on paper as well, based on the listings I have going on the new year and the contracts that I have right now, that it looks like it's going to be one of those slingshot into 2026. And we're going to have a nice, good, solid year next year, which would be great because I was looking at my books going into the new year with my wife this morning. And I was like, did you realize how 2025 actually started for me? Or let's even go back 1 month before that, how bad December was for me last year. Because apparently I closed a ton in November last year, and December was dead silent. And January, February, and March was a handful of deals. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And then all of a sudden, because I was doing all the hard work, which you're supposed to do, the salesperson, is that if you know you're doing the right activities, you just keep doing them. Because eventually it's going to turn around. You can just go through a period where it's just bad appointments. It's people that pick someone else. It can be a lot of different things. And that's how the year started for me. However, all of a sudden, it was like people were finally, when I was contacting them back after appointments or signing them on the spot, they were finally going and saying, okay, dude, I'm ready. Let's go. And there you go. We started putting a lot of homes on the market. Now, we'll say that even though we are putting tons of properties on the market and we were getting contracts on them, man, it was not the first deal on a lot of them that was closing. Because I was joking with my business partner, Phil, that if I close as many deals as what I closed, plus what was falling out, it's insane how busy of a year would be, because when the deal falls out, you've already done all the work and now you got to go put it back in. So you're doing the work in essence for less money because you've already put hours and hours into whatever deal was in front of you. It blows up. Now you got to go put another one in and go through the whole process again of negotiations for the contract, the inspection process, the repairs for the home, battling potentially, I haven't had appraisal issue in years, but you could be battling appraisal issues, financing issues, have had to deal with that for delays and stuff like that. But you got to go do that all over again. Not fun. So it was one of those weird years where I was having to get the deals and put them back in yet again. And it could be the second, third, fourth offer in on the house before I'd actually close the deal. And it was funny because I was talking to a client the other day and she was joking with me after we closed on the home. She goes, "You don't seem to get excited at any point." And I go, "Because until I hear that it's recorded, I don't ever believe that it's actually going to close the transaction." Maybe I'm a pessimist, but I've just been in it for since '08. So I've just been in it for years and I've just seen how it can go. And I even tell them, I said, I will tell you what percentage of excited you can be throughout this whole process at different times in the process, what excitement level you can be at. Because I don't believe that even if your offer gets accepted on a home, that we're necessarily going to close on that home because it could have a bad inspection. There could be reasons to run from the property. I did have a situation just 2 months ago where before we wrote on a property, I did tell the client, I said, if at any point in this contract or in this process, I ever say to you, run, I mean it. We need to run from the transaction. And here it came down to the inspection on the home was so bad. The repair list, because the house was lipstick on a pig. So the home looked good on the surface, but once you did the inspection, oh my gosh, the redneck repairs that have been done everywhere were just out of this world. And they totaled more than the value of the property to get repaired. And I only know that because I flip homes and I kind of know what stuff costs. And I looked at her and I said, run. And she's like, she smiled and I go, no, run. And she goes, oh, you're serious? And go, yeah. She goes, oh, okay. Guess we're canceling the contract. And we did. And we got another home. And man, the next one, freaking phenomenal. Had like maybe I think when all was said and done, we had just under $1,000 worth of repairs needed on that property. That was it. I mean, the house was immaculate inside and out, and it had actually been taken care of. So anyway, we moved forward with a different one. So that's why I don't really worry about if we have to back out. But I don't ever get excited about whether when we go under contract on anything. It's just not worth it. There's too many variables because we got this. We could have so many closings if humans weren't involved. Yeah. But unfortunately, there are humans involved because guess what? Until the robots take over, we're going to have humans living in these homes and not robots. And I think robots probably won't be as picky about the homes just as long as they're not getting wet, stuff like that. I'm just assuming from that. I've seen Terminator. Trying to remember if he got wet or not. I think the more advanced versions, the easier it got because he could like change. There was the one that he could morph his shape and stuff like that. It was insane. But anyway, I digress. So had 2 appointments today, and it's kind of funny because the price points are not similar, but the attitude of both sellers, not bad attitude, but the attitude of both sellers was very similar. So you had both want to move, need to move, could be it's just time. Both of them are living in homes that are just too big for them to maintain on their own, and so they're looking to move. And both wanted to know what cash offers would be. Now, the first one, when I met with her, I was like, well, I'll give you here's what it would be worth if you did repairs after I go through the home. And here's what it'd be from like a cash offer, investor, something like that. Perfect. So I go through the home and everything, and it needs somewhere between $10,000 and $15,000 in work. It needs like carpet, paint, some pool work, had termites, need termites taken care of, and some other miscellaneous stuff. But it's probably 10 to 15,000, probably closer to 15,000 in work. So I gave her the value on that. The value on that is like 350 to 400. I know that's a wide range, but that's legitimately where the comps were coming in for this home and for a fixed up property. And I said, now on the as is price, not doing that stuff, you're probably still somewhere between 290 to 310 because of the lack of inventory in the area, the fact that she has a pool. And I also gave her the option. I go, you could just do a couple things. You could do the pool, so get it where that's clean, filled, ready to go, and take care of the termites. And I go, now you qualify for loans, which could open up some more value for you, and you'd be 290 to 310. So not a huge range difference from the other one. I know that 40,000-50,000 is a lot for us, but if you saw how her and the other people I met with, how overwhelmed they were by the whole process, sometimes it makes sense to give up that money to them. I'm not saying it makes sense to me. I would figure it out and just go through the stress to get the extra $40,000-$50,000, but that's me. And for some people, they're like, it's just not worth it. It's not worth the stress involved in it. And if I'm not going to share her backstory, but if you knew her backstory over the last couple of years, it's just been a lot. And so it's just one of those to where you're like, maybe you just do the simple thing, because she has the ability to move out, show it vacant, with just the pool and the termite taken care of, and get her money easily within a couple weeks to a month, and just move on. So that was the one. And I was like, we're both pretty much in agreement that that's probably the route that she's going to go. Then I went with the other one. Now, the other one was kind of interesting. And because he's like, I only want a cash offer. Now, on paper, his home is worth 1.3 to 1.4 million. I know a big gap again, but in the area the comps were pulling up, that's how big of a gap it was. 1.3 to 1.4. But once cash, willing to take a lower cash. And mind you, at that price point, a lower cash offer is going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars under market, because of the risk to buy a home at that price point and hold it as a investment property that you're going to flip. In this home, all it needed one thing. It needed fresh paint on the inside. That's it. You're talking that even though it was a ridiculously big home, still, even if I was to quote high, it's under $10,000 to take care of that. Had high-end appliance, Viking appliances, great floor plan, had a casita with its own kitchen and a bedroom in it. So it wasn't like a tiny casita, had a 4-car garage, big property, gated community, had a lot of pluses to it. And you're looking at that, this is the only thing that it needed. Even the yard was immaculate. There was not a leaf on the ground in the yard. And it was one of those artificial turf yards, and there was not a leaf anywhere. So I'm like, it was meticulous. I just didn't like the interior color of the home, because it's one of those blues that just not photograph well. So it's like, outside of that, I'm like, cool. But what amazed me is that their only reason for selling for so much less is that they just didn't want to deal with the agents and that whole process. They just want their money and just move on. It just kind of, I don't know. It's like, though there were similar appointments, because both want the ease of cash, I guess just what really threw me off was that I understand leaving 40,000 on the table. I don't ever understand leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table in a home sale, and leaving that to the investor, who would be us, just putting paint in it. Because this is exactly what I told him. I'm like, you need paint, and that's it. There's really nothing else to do in this home. So I don't know. What are your opinions on this? I'm really curious, is like, what is your number? Long way about to this, but what would be your number that you're like, because of the convenience of cash, that I'd be willing to leave this X amount on the table and walk away from it? Because we all have a number. I'm just curious. So that's my question of the week. What is your number that you would sell your home for cash, and be okay knowing that you left that amount of profit, because when you sell your home, that's profit, on the table for someone else? So anyway, let me know. All right. This is going to wrap up this episode. And we're about a week, what are we, 9 days from Christmas? Wow. So we will have another episode right before Christmas. I promise I will have Melissa on here, so you can see that, yes, there's really no huge giant riff over air supply or anything like that. In fact, we'll even ask her on that episode, and may have a disagreement, but we'll both move on, because you know what? We're adults. And it's okay to have a disagreement about music without it coming to blows and divorce court and marriage counseling or whatever you could possibly imagine. So I think we'll be okay. All right. So one more episode, then we have Christmas. Love Christmas. So until next time, I want you to first like, share, comment, leave feedback, review, everything. It all helps the show grow. We've had a tremendous year of growth. I didn't know until I saw the numbers the other day because I don't really pay attention, but we did actually grow. And we were played in 8 countries, which was really cool. I didn't even realize that. I knew that we were ranked at one point like top 20 in the Cayman Islands, which I thought was kind of cool. But outside, and that's just because somebody sent it to me. But outside that, I just really honestly don't pay attention to it. But that was really neat. I was glad to see it's like, okay, show's growing. The stats show the show's growing at a snail's pace, but growth is growth. And 8 countries, I'll take it. That was pretty awesome. Yeah. So we'll have another episode before Christmas. Until then, well, go out and be the kick-ass adult that I know you all can be.